A very good day. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the significance of Romantic English literature, which can be seen as a revolutionary energy and can be defined as the core of Romanticism, which quite consciously set out to transform not only the theory and practice of literature but the very way people perceive the world. Romanticism is directly seen as a result of French Revolution, which led to the fall of Bastille, wherein the king was taken a captive, and it is seen as an ushering of a new era of freedom and rebirth, which is sung by William Wordsworth in his poem French Revolution. And I quote, France standing at the top of the hill and human nature seemingly to be born again. French Revolution aimed at achieving three principles, that is of equality, liberty and fraternity, which are still an objective of any given society. The ideas of the great philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau made a significant contribution in the French Revolution by igniting the minds of people, wherein he glorifies human nature. This is a picture which gives glimpse of the revolutionaries of French Revolution. This picture shows the falling of Bastille on July 14, 1789. The cultural background of Romantic movement asserts its negative attitude towards the existing social and political conditions. The basis of this movement is a reaction against neoclassicism. The time period of Romantic age starts from 1798 to 1832. Lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth and Coleridge came out in 1798 and is seen as official pronouncement of the beginning of Romantic age in England. It ends in the year 1832, which is also the year when Sir Walter Scott died, and is more significant because during this period the Reform Bill was passed in England. Characteristics of Romanticism are imagination, idealization of nature, individualism, glorification of the commonplace, the lure of the exotic. Coleridge, in his Biographia Literaria, talks about the importance of imagination. Quoting William Blake, man is all imagination, God is man and exists in us and we in him. All things exist in human imagination. Imagination by the Romantic poets was held as a supreme faculty of mind, which is a combination of dynamic and active. According to them, imagination can change and create and unify different elements into a complex whole. Coleridge in Biographia Literaria talks in detail about the significance of imagination and kinds of imagination. According to him, there are two kinds of imagination, that is, primary imagination and secondary imagination. He says that primary imagination is given to all and is the power of perception. And secondary imagination, according to Coleridge, is a echo of primary imagination but different, as it has a creative esmaplastic power of creating something new. A few significant examples of secondary imagination can be seen in his works like Kubla Khan, and the suggested poems to understand the concept better is William Blake's The Tiger, S.T. Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. William Wordsworth, one of the greatest Romantic poets, sees nature as divinity, and I quote, "Yet having felt the power of nature by the gentle agency of natural objects, led me on to feel the passions that were not my own." Unquote. He has different perspectives about nature, wherein he says that nature has a healing power, it is a source of subject and image, and is a refuge from the artificial constructs of civilization. Romantic age lays a lot of stress upon individualism. And I quote William Blake, who says, I must create my own system or be enslaved by another man's. In the Middle Ages, the emphasis was on God, and man lived chiefly for the future world. In the Renaissance period, man is the center of all concern and emphasized on the dignity of man and the importance of present life. And in the age of enlightenment, it sees man as a social man. The general or universal characteristic of human behavior were more suitable subject matter. Romanticism saw man as an individual in the solitary state and emphasized the special qualities of each individual's mind. And I quote Rousseau here, I am not made like anyone I have seen. I dare believe that if I'm not like anyone in existence, if I'm not superior, at least I am different. Unquote. Romanticism values the exploration and evaluation of the inner self. The clear and vivid example of stressing of individualism can be seen in the great work of Wordsworth Prelude, where there is a prominence of first person lyric poem I, which is the direct person of the poet. It also talks about a change of direction from attention to the outer world of social civilization to the inner world of the human spirit. Another significant feature of Romantic Age is the lure of the exotic, which expanded the imaginary horizon spatially and chronologically, wherein taking the subjects from the Middle Ages and images of distant places and allowed free play to the supernatural. Pre-romanticism includes the works of William Blake and Robert Burns, while the romantic poets are often divided into two categories, that is, the romantic poets of the first generation, which includes poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Southey, and the second generation, more revolutionary, like Byron, Shelley, and Keats. William Blake, in his significant poem, says, Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Politically, Blake was a rebel and made friends with radicals. Literally, Blake was the first important romantic poet showing contempt for the rule of reason, opposing the classical tradition of the 18th century, and treasuring the individual's imagination. Blake writes his poems in plain and direct language. He presents his view in visual images rather than abstract ideas. Symbolism in wide range is a distinctive feature of his poetry. The poetry of Wordsworth is spontaneous, and in his poetry, nature plays a significant role. He believes that common subjects can be poetic, the world of simple natural things in the countryside or among the people, while Coleridge poetry is a strange, exotic, and mysterious combination of natural with the supernatural, the ordinary with the extraordinary. Another significant romantic poet, Byron, wrote his poetry as a revolt against society and has a prototype of romantic hero, that is Byronic hero, in his poetry. Shelley, on the other hand, believed that the external tyranny is the main enemy and the inherent human goodness will eliminate evil from the world and usher in an eternal reign of love. For Keats, poetry is a response to sensuous impressions and love for nature and art, and a compassion for humanity forms the subject of his poetry. Keats was a worshipper of beauty, where he believes that beauty is truth and truth is beauty. Interestingly, it was in the Romantic Age where Jane Austen emerged as a significant novelist, and her novels are based on love and marriage. At the same time, Sir Walter Scott introduced the genre of historical novel during this period. In prose, we have newspapers, magazines, and periodicals, and the significant writers are Lamb Hazlitt and Thomas De Quincey. According to William Wordsworth, and I quote, "All good poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings." And Wordsworth further says, and I quote, "endeavored to bring language near to the real language of man," unquote. According to the subject matters, his short poems can be divided into two groups: the poems of nature and the poems about human life. He is a poet of nature and a master hand in searching and revealing the feelings of the common people. He's often defined as a worshipper of nature who chose common life as subjects of literary interest. His significant works are lyrical ballads, which has the following characteristics: simple language, sympathy with the poor, and the fusion of natural description with expression of inward states of mind. Lucy poems, which talks about harmony between humanity and nature, and the prelude, which is a spiritual record of his mind and his philosophy of life. So we can conclude that Romanticism was an artistic, literary, musical, and intellectual movement that originated in Europe towards the end of the 18th century, and in most areas was at its peak in the approximate period from 1800 to 1850.